You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. How do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, my God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your step. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Morning all, good afternoon, good evening, Joey. How are you? Oh,
very good, Mike.
Blimey.
Very good, Mike.
I don't know, I've got ChatGPT talking to me here. Be quiet. Be quiet. Do you use ChatGPT? You do, yeah?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
She keeps talking to me. I can't help it.
Oh, yeah?
But listen, all right, listen. Episode 129, the missing ingredient. Now, Joe, we're going to look at someone who's a little bit controversial today, right? Kevin Trudeau, I don't know if you've heard of him, but made a lot of money in sales and marketing, on television and things like this, and kind of lost it all. Ended up going to prison for a little bit for contempt of court. But he's got some, he talks a lot about Bob Proctor. And in fact, to be honest, watching that video at the beginning there again, Bob's talking about frequency, and Kevin Trudeau is talking about frequency here. He's talking about the brain waves, the different brain waves, and how people think. And I just thought it'd be interesting. So we're going to try and have a look at this. But look, welcome, Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, episode 129, the missing ingredient. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, click that notification button. You'll learn when we're on every week, usually around about the same time. And of course, you can find me maybe sometimes on Facebook, but you can definitely find Joey on Facebook. Got lots of content, puts out a lot. And of course, we all know Joey by his real name, which is Joey, the $1 million maker, Makaunga. Telling you, difference maker. That's what it is, you know. So, but look, we're going to get into this. We're going to watch this video. But before we do that, just say hi, Joe.
Yeah, good day everyone. Good day, Mike. I've been away for 2 weeks, and very grateful to be back home on the studio and at the home office, and also because going on holiday, it's good, but it's a lot of distraction, a lot of family coming over, a lot of friends try to make up some time to catch up. And good distraction. Have some quality time with the family, especially the eldest relative that I still have back in the island. Spend time with them, show them, even share my story, my journey from Tonga to Australia and where I am now. I think it's a blessing to a lot of them because they haven't heard from me for a long time, but to share my journey, it's quite a blessing to both them and myself, because for a boy that they normally know that climb coconut tree back in the island, now doing other things that especially
it's inspiring, Joey. Like you going home, all the little kids, the little nieces and nephews, and all the extended family, they see what you've become, and it gives them a dream, that they can be better, they can do better, they can do more, while still keeping that spirituality, and that connection, to home. It's inspiring. Obviously, maybe some of the older people are maybe like, well, who does he think he is? Maybe in secret, maybe they don't say it to you, but like that's what it can be like as well, Joe. When you're having success, when you're being successful, when you're acting in a certain way, people think, oh yeah, he's too big for his boots now. Do you know what I mean? He's forgotten where he's come from. But the truth is you haven't, and you going back there is an inspiration to all those, kids, and youths and younger people, and even, everybody too, to know that there's still time and you can make a difference. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you're showing people. So it's incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I think one thing it's good to going back home just to, remind me how blessing I am to be living in Australia, and also remind me where I come from, so that I can stay grounded, stay humble, and always remember that where I am now, it's because of the foundation that it was laid when I was back in the island from my parents, my sibling, the church I went to, the school I went to. Even I take some time to go to the church, to go to community with the people, and also catch up with the people. I just drive past one night, and there was a family in my village. They were having a late dinner. They just have a late dinner, and they saw my car, and they just stop me, and they invite me to come for dinner. So I just stop the car, go over, and we have dinner together outdoor. And they were very, very happy, and we share some good memory of me growing up, how I used to come to their home and with friends and ask for food if they have some leftover on Sunday nights, just because we were close to each other living in the island. And when I left, they sent me a message, and they said, it's a lot of people, they went overseas, and when they come back, they don't want to maybe stop by, or just want to come and have a conversation with them. But when I stop to come and spend time with maybe 1 hour with them, for them they really enjoy the time. But for me, it's keep reminding me, I will never forget where I come from, where I start my journey, because we all have to start from somewhere. And you share a story, growing up with your old man, working in the construction professional, it's inspiring, because when we remember those journey and where we start, it always remind us to keep going in life, because when we success or have win in life, we might be able to contribute in some way, different way, to our community when we back home. And I did. So so it's give me time to went to the school I grew up. Things have changed now. The board, the dormitory that we used to went to in the school have been new facility now. And I said to myself, how lucky those generation are. Before, we used to, our shower was outside, and late at night, if you have to go to the shower or bathroom, you have to run at night. But now it's just attached to the dormitory, so people can, the generation now have a far better lifestyle or facility than where we used to compare. So, but at the same time, it's remind me this is where I start, and I'm glad they're in a good position now, because all the fund that we was helping to rebuild the college is from all the fund that come from people like us in overseas. As an ex-student, we contribute back in some way, raising fund to build the school.
Amazing, Joey. Amazing. The funny thing is, though, that that experience of being in school and having to go outside to go to the bathroom and stuff like that is character building too. These kids aren't going to get that now. They're going to be soft.
Even when we went to the island, back in the island, there's a lot of like old belief, like people, when people dying, they still come back. And I went to my mother's island where my mom grew up, and my wife and her friend were living in the guest house, and I decided to spend some time with my auntie. So every night I went back to the guest house to spend time with my wife and her friends, and we were talking over midnight. And they said, "How you get home?" I said, "I'm gonna walk home, and it's not much traffic light." And they said, "Are you not scared?" I said to them, but it's kind of like I'm going back home, even though my mom is not there. But that's where my mom grew up, and I know that I'm all right, And they said to me, "You don't scare," but like you said, it's built a character when we grew up. This is not the only time I walk back in the dark back to my home. It's I done it when I went to school. I done it when I live in the village. But at the same time, I'm confident because I'm going back to my mom's home. And even though they passed away, even one state I went to the cemetery to look at my grandparents, my grandparents cemetery by myself. And my wife said to me, "Are you not scared? Go by yourself. This is I said, "This is home. I went there. I know people will look after me." And but it's so funny because it's built character when those things like that. You grow up, you have to go outside in the dark to go to the bathroom, but nowadays everything is inside, is attached, is on suite. But it's still within me that those characters, those encourage. Even when I walk home, only the dog that you have to be a little bit aware or mindful, because sometimes they run outside, and sometimes they can bark at you or just run at you. But much, but I enjoyed the time back.
Yeah, good. I love it, Joy. I love it. It's amazing, because when you go home, it brings back memories, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? You think about things, and I know what you're talking about. When you go out, especially when you're home, you go out by yourself and you're just walking around. It's almost like the streets know you're back. Do you know what I mean? They know, because you know those streets. You know them like the back of your hand. Even though things might change, you can feel it. It's a feeling that you can feel a belonging. Do you know what I mean? You feel super comfortable there. You feel like you belong, and the place almost kind of embraces you.
Absolutely.
The air, the atmosphere, the aura of the place, the energy of it. So no, I get it. I totally get it. I feel like that. Certainly when I go home. And but it's not. It's all. It's nice to come out. It's nice to go there, but it's also nice to get back to where you are now. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because it's just, it just recharges you. Gives you an opportunity to, because you come, I suppose, when you think about it, we have this. There's nowhere better than home to strip you of that persona, to strip you of that person. Do you know what I mean? Where friends and family and cousins, they just rib you, and they have a laugh with you, they make fun of you, and it's just a big joke and everything else. You literally are just you. All that stuff, all that other stuff goes away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a funny thing. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, right, listen, we're going to get into this video and we're going to see what you make of it. Like I say, Kevin Trudeau is a bit of a mixed bag. People are either love him or hate him, doesn't really matter. But really what this is about is just the information. What I found fascinating about it is that he's talking about the same stuff that Bob Proctor talks about, but he's just putting it in a different way, right? So we're not going to start at the beginning of the video. We're just going to start a little bit in, and he starts talking about, if you're making a cake, you've got to have the right ingredients. And this is what he's talking about. So we're going to jump straight in. Let's have a look.
Same result. So manifesting is the chocolate cake. If you find somebody that's...
Now, just so you know, I've got it sped up to 1.5, just so, because otherwise I feel it's a little bit slow. I could change the speed if it's a little bit too fast. Let me know.
Capable of manifesting their goals, dreams, and desires easily and effortlessly on a consistent basis, and say, what exactly are you doing? That's what's missing, because you're not getting their recipe in total. And today we're going to talk about one key, absolutely critical key missing ingredient to success. Now, how do we know this is true? Through research over decades, multiple successful people in all areas of life were researched. And it was brain research. Whether it's people that have hundreds of millions of dollars cash in the bank and make tens of millions of dollars a year in income, that's a quantifiable result. If they started from nothing, they were poor, and they were able to manifest that wealth. That's pretty significant. What about a spectacular sports athlete? Whether it's somebody in tennis or golf or basketball or football or soccer. Let's look at these people and say, these are extremely high achievers that manifested things. People in the celebrity world, they went from nothing and they manifested fame and fortune. Let's look at their brain. And there's devices today that you can hook your brain up to, and it will monitor the brainwave frequencies that your brain emits. Now, there's a chart we're going to put up which shows the brainwave frequencies. It was actually put into 5 categories. At the top is gamma, then there's beta, then there's alpha, then there's theta, and then there's delta. And you can see the brainwave frequencies vibrate at a different speed and wavelength, and this is significant. When you went through my course, Your Wish is Your Command, I mentioned at length the fact that the brain is a broadcaster and receiver of frequency. And that frequency, when it gets put out, affects matter in the physical universe and affects other people's brains. It's actually picked up by other people and can influence very strongly other people's thoughts and feelings and actions. Now, that's very significant. Now, how do we know that's true? There's been huge amounts of research. One is by Dr. Emoto, where water was taken and it was frozen. And then it was sliced and looked under a microscope. And different kinds of water was taken. There was tap water, there was spring water, there was filtered water, there was distilled water. The water was frozen, sliced, and looked under a microscope. And every time this test was conducted, the crystal formation was exactly the same. Every time they looked at the tap water, it was the same. Every time they looked at the spring water, it was the same. Every time they looked at the distilled water or the filtered water, it was always the same. Then an amazing experiment was conducted. A person would simply look at the water and attempt to put out a frequency or broadcast a vibrational wave from their brain. They were instructed to pick a frequency, such as anger or love. So if it was anger, they would feel angry and then put that frequency into the water using their brain. Then the water was frozen, sliced, and compared to the original water crystal from that sample. And in every case, it changed. And in every case, it changed pretty much the same. So when anger was put into the water, the crystal changed. I think we have photos of this that we'll put up. But the crystal changed. If love was emitted into the water, the crystal changed. Gratitude, appreciation, grief, fear, all of these changed the structure of the water. This was one example that proved that the brain puts out frequency, and that frequency affects physical matter in the universe. Other examples were...
Are you familiar with that, Joe? Have you ever seen that before? Dr. Emoto and his water experiments. Have you seen that?
Is that the Japanese guy?
Yeah.
He used rice too. He used rice too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And that I'm surprised. well, I'm not surprised, but I don't know why I don't have little bottles of water where I write love on them and gratitude and put them in the fridge. Do you know what I mean? Because you're drinking that intention. That's what because that's the intention that you're putting out there. On that frequency, you're putting out that intention of love or gratitude or hatred or harm or whatever else. Like when you think that your body's made up of so many water molecules, how you think must be really important to how your body behaves. I do. That experiment is fascinating. It really is.
Yeah.
Things like gold and silver were tested. They have a vibrational frequency to them. Every time some gold is tested, or every time some silver is tested, or every time some copper is tested, or even every time a rock is tested, it puts out the same vibrational frequency. Then test subjects were told to look at that rock or look at that piece of gold or look at that piece of silver and put out a frequency to it. Then the frequency of that item was tested again, and it changed. This was also done with what's called Kirlian photography, where you could see the aura or field around the item. This was very significant. And when you think about the implications of this, this is one of the reasons why the law of attraction works and why the book Think and Grow Rich, which was one of the first books, it wasn't the first book, but it was one of the first books that popularized the idea that your thoughts can create your reality. From a quantum physics standpoint today, we know that this is 100% absolutely true. Your thoughts create your physical reality. So when you read these books on manifesting, one of the things they say is think about what you want to attain, your goal, your objective, your dream. Think about it. Earl Nightingale said you become what you think about most of the time. Okay, actually, Emerson was the first person who said that. The challenge with this is, if you're broadcasting that thought on the wrong brainwave frequency, it's not going to be picked up as much in the physical universe. So if you can imagine the physical universe is like a radio transmitter, and the physical universe picks up a particular radio frequency, 1040 AM, and you're broadcasting a very intense, powerful frequency that you want more money. You're broadcasting that intensely, and you're broadcasting it all the time. But you're broadcasting on frequency 97.9 FM. If you have your receiver there set to AM 1040, you don't hear anything. The universe isn't hearing your broadcast because you're on the wrong frequency. The key missing ingredient, and there are many to manifesting, the key missing ingredient is you have to broadcast your desire in a certain way on the right frequency. And that billionaire brainwave, or that manifesting brainwave, or that wealth creating brainwave is right in between alpha and theta. It's right in between. That's the sweet spot. When wealthy people had their brains hooked up to biofeedback machines, which monitor the brainwave frequencies that the brain is producing, it noticed that the brain does change throughout the day. It'll be in gamma sometimes, and beta sometimes, and alpha and theta. Usually throughout the day, it's never in delta. That's only in sleep. And even in sleep, it doesn't get the delta the entire time. Billionaires or magnificent manifestors, people that can actually manifest goals, dreams, and desires readily, quickly, easily, almost effortlessly, almost like magic. Interestingly enough, their brain is broadcasting alpha and theta most of the time. And more importantly, it's broadcasting in between alpha and theta, right around there, on the critical times when that person is putting out a desire for something that they want in their life. Michael Jordan had that ability to say, we're going to win this. And he would put that out with intensity and power on that creation brainwave.
So, Joe, have you ever looked at the brain waves, gamma, beta, theta, delta? Have you ever looked at them?
Not that I'm aware. I think the last time I was come across the wavelength and waveform, it's through science in high school or physics.
All right, let's try this. Right.
Yeah.
Let's try this just so that. Hold on. Right, we'll give this a try and see what happens. Right, listen, I want to go through the brain waves. Start with gamma. What is gamma? What is the gamma brainwave? And what is the beta brainwave? And what is the alpha brainwave? And the theta brainwave, what is that? And what is the delta brainwave? Right, so that kind of makes a little bit of sense there, Joe, right? So when he's talking about the alpha brainwave, it's the relaxed sweet spot. It's like when you're calmly daydreaming, meditating, or in a flow state. Creativity and relaxed focus tend to show up here. Do you know, that reminds me so much of the video we just watched at the beginning where Bob Proctor is saying, act, walk, talk like you're already there. And at the end of that video, he talks about those people, daydreamers of the day. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what that talks about. And then the theta, that's where that's that visionary stuff where you're deep thinking about, you're not sleeping, but you're not awake, but you're thinking about the things that you want. Do you know what I mean? That meditative state.
Yeah.
Now this beta one, this is the one that we tend to be in most of the time, right? We're just the stuff that we're getting on with stuff. We're working on our list. Do you know what I mean? The things that we have to do every day, and that's that's why nothing changes, because we just focus on doing the same things every day. A basic rhythm of conscious thinking, planning, and getting stuff done. Do you know what I mean? Like, when we think we're thinking, we're not. we're just thinking the same stuff again. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. But look, that just gives us an idea of what those brainwaves are, right? So you get to understand now a little bit more about what he's saying, hopefully.
I don't have any sound from my side.
You don't have any sound?
No.
Let me see. I can hear it at my end.
Yeah.
You hear it now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't hear the video.
Right, let me just, where are we here? 14:30. Let me just refresh this. You hear that now?
No.
Wonder, is it something to do with ChatGPT? Can't be, right? Stop sharing. Share.
Cast in the.
You hear that?
Yep.
Okay, good. Right, we'll try that.
Alpha.
Yep.
You can take some supplements, and there are several supplements on the market that decalcify or get the fluoride out and decalcify the hippocampus. High powerful brain wave, their brain is broadcasting alpha and theta most of the time. And that billionaire brainwave, or that manifesting brainwave, or that wealth creating brainwave is right in between alpha and theta. It's right in between. That's the sweet spot. When wealthy people had their brains hooked up to biofeedback machines, which monitor the brainwave frequencies that the brain is producing, it noticed that the brain does change throughout the day. It'll be in gamma sometimes and beta sometimes and alpha and theta. Usually throughout the day, it's never in delta. That's only in sleep. And even in sleep, it doesn't get to delta the entire time. Billionaires or magnificent manifestors, people that can actually manifest goals, dreams, and desires readily, quickly, easily, almost effortlessly, almost like magic. Interestingly enough, their brain is broadcasting alpha and theta most of the time. And more importantly, it's broadcasting in between alpha and theta, right around there, on the critical times when that person is putting out a desire for something that they want in their life. Michael Jordan had that ability to say, we're going to win this. And he would put that out with intensity and power on that creation brainwave, that billionaire brainwave, that wealth creation brainwave, that manifesting wave that affects everything in the physical universe in a magnificent, powerful way, thus attracting into your life what you want, helping you manifest into your life what you want. There's a lot of talk about this these days. There was a article that came out that says, Unlocking Prosperity, 5 powerful brainwave rituals to attract abundance. Okay, sounds pretty good. So you read this, and it says, alpha state visualization. Try this. Set aside a few minutes each day to meditate in a quiet space. Visualize your financial dreams as if they are happening now. Feel the emotions associated with success and wealth to reinforce positive neural pathways. It sounds good, and it's not 100% wrong. But I was just with 30 guys who all have a net worth of, well, collectively, their net worth and the money they controlled was close to $8 trillion. So they're all super wealthy guys. And I asked every one of them, do you meditate? Or did you ever meditate? Especially when you were first starting off building your wealth, did you meditate? Did you sit in a room and visualize your financial abundance? And they looked at me like I was insane. They go, no. So this is theory. It's BS. We're not talking theory or sound good advice. I'm giving you what real people do who are really manifesting their goals, dreams, and desires. Theta wave affirmations. Try this. Create a list of empowering affirmations related to money and success. During theta meditation, again, no wealthy people goes into theta meditation. And no one is repeating affirmations to themselves, focusing on belief and prosperity while they're theta meditating. I mean, the people who wrote this are retarded. Seriously. I mean, the author is like, oh, really? So obviously you've done this, Mr. Author. How much money do you have in the bank? Do you have 10, 15, 20 million? Well, how come it's not working? It's sound good bullshit advice.
Yeah.
It's what wealthy people do. It's not what the greatest athletes do. This is not what they do in real life. I'm going to tell you what they do. And if you do what they do, then you'll also get the results that they're getting. This is sound good advice put out by people who are very well intentioned. And it's not 100% wrong, but it's missing key ingredients. And they're adding ingredients that aren't on the real recipe list that will give you the end result, which is that magnificent, delicious, moist chocolate cake. And they go on gratitude, gamma wave, beta, blah, blah, blah. Sound good advice, and it doesn't sound bad. But there are ingredients in here that are not the ingredients on the success recipe. And there are missing ingredients that are on the success recipe. I'll throw that out. And then here's another one. Smart glasses focus attention with NASA neurofeedback technology. And this article talks about how NASA is using, there's a great picture of this guy here. Okay. So I want you to find a billionaire that hooks themselves up like this. And they did this when they were just starting off. And they go, yeah, that was me training my brain with bio and neurofeedback so I could manifest what I wanted. No. Warren Buffett didn't do that. Steve Jobs didn't do that. Elon Musk didn't do that. Are you with me so far? So let me tell you exactly what you have to do so that you can put out a desire, put out a broadcast, put out a vibrational frequency on the correct wavelength band so that if it affects matter in the universe, is picked up by other brains and affects other people's brains, therefore affects and influences them, so that the entire universe is working together and has been activated to help manifest into your life everything you want, because it absolutely works 100% of the time. The first thing that we notice is with wealthy people. If we look at these great manifestors, and not just wealthy people, people that excel at manifesting their goals, dreams, and desires. Look, there's a lot of people who don't have a goal, dream, or desire to be a billionaire. You don't have to have that goal. That doesn't have to be your desire. There's a lot of people who have a desire to be the best teacher in the world, or to be the best gardener in the world, or to make a magnificent home and a family that's loving and together and have a fulfilling life. So it's not all about money. Money is something, however, that you can quantify. So we'll use that a lot as an example because it's quantifiable. Some of these other things aren't as quantifiable, but at the end of the day, whatever your goals and dreams are, you want to manifest them. You want them to come into your life quickly and easily. So how do you broadcast in this bandwave? Well, first off, if you're not manifesting your goals, dreams, and desires, and you think you're following the proper recipe, you're thinking about what you want to achieve, you're getting a picture of yourself in possession of it, you're feeling now as if you're actually in possession of that, you have a burning desire for its achievement, you release attachment to the outcome, you do all the specific steps. The first step being you contract energy and find out what exactly you will not tolerate anymore. So you get some anger and therefore you focus it on what you want. There's a whole series of steps. Even if you're following all that recipe, there's an excellent chance, matter of fact, there's probably a 90+ chance, you're broadcasting your desire on the beta brainwave frequency. You can call that the slave or poverty wave. That's what most people broadcast on. And we know this again in neuroscience research. You take a bunch of people that are broke and you put the devices on their head for 24 hours, 48 hours, and then you look at the reading and they go, yeah, they're broadcasting in beta almost all the time during the day. And then if you do that again with people who manifest things, they go through all of the cycles, but they're broadcasting in alpha theta infinitely more. And specifically when they're putting out a desire to achieve something or manifest something or make something happen in their life. So how do we do that? Well, there's another piece of data you need to know. And that is, if you look at these people that manifest things quickly and easily, or seem to, or appear to, and you analyze their brain, they have something different in their brain than you. In the brain, there's something called the hippocampus. It's a little thing in the brain. And this hippocampus, interestingly enough, is small and inactive or has very low activity in people that are poor, in people that don't manifest their goals, dreams, and desires, in people that seem to fail at everything they try. And then when you look at people that succeed in everything they try, people that are wealthy, people that manifest their goals, dreams, and desires, interestingly enough, their hippocampus is bigger and it's much more active. So the first thing you need to do in order to broadcast on that alpha theta billionaire brainwave or wealth wave is to increase the size of your hippocampus and get it active. Now, the question is, how do we get it active? Let's do that.
Have you heard of this, Joey? Have you?
Very interesting.
He was talking about, there's no doubt about that, when we watch that video at the end with Bob Proctor, a lot of this will make sense because Bob Proctor talks about the frequency, getting on that frequency. He's talking about getting on that frequency, but he's talking about the frequency and the brain being a transmitter and receiver of information. Bob talks about that when he talks about, this thing flowing to and through you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is all becoming really, really kind of interesting from the perspective of, even things like you talk about, intentionally act on the thing that you want. That's that intention, and it's that, I think intention, you flipping the switch, to get on that Bob talks about it in that video. Once you get on that frequency, you make a decision, conscious decision. And this is why, that it's one of those, it's not that I struggle, it's my lack of understanding, it's my ignorance around this, to change, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. And, that quote that I talk about, that Buckminster Fuller quote, And I always look at that from, how do I change my thinking? How do I change my mind? Do you know what I mean? And now I'm starting to learn that it's about being on that right frequency. Do you know what I mean? But how do you know which frequency you're in to begin with? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you know where you're at? How do you measure it without having something to measure your brain waves? Do you know what I mean? Is it because of how you're thinking? Is it because of how you're feeling? What is it? Like I don't know. It's complicated. Shit gets complicated all by itself, Joe. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And I think he talked about the hippocampus. That's a very interesting concept.
From my understanding, and we can ask ChatGPT if you want, but my understanding of the hippocampus, it's almost like the door to the subconscious.
Okay.
It's where memories are stored. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, listen, we'll listen to what he has to say.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
First, and then we'll talk about how to increase the size of it. First off, why is it not active? The answer is it's calcified, which means it's crusted. The number one thing that will calcify the hippocampus, and Trey, I think I sent you a picture on Telegram of this, it was either an MRI scan or a CAT scan of the brain and the hippocampus, how it's calcified. So we might put that on the screen. The number one thing that calcifies, helping make inactive your hippocampus, is fluoride in the water supply. Yeah. Now, I've done shows on fluoride. Many people have done shows on fluoride. I'm not going to talk about all the disadvantages and evil effects that fluoride has and why it's being put in the water. I will tell you this, that the first group that ever put fluoride in water were the Nazis, and they put it in the water supplies in the ghettos and in the concentration camps so that they could dumb down and slow down and reduce aggressiveness and motivation and inspiration of the people. In other words, make inactive the hippocampus so they're broadcasting on beta and they can't get into the creation or manifesting broadcast wave from their brain. I just went into a subject here that is going to get people's eyes open. Hey, I'm just a messenger. I'm just giving you historical fact. That's not disputed, by the way. So how do you get the fluoride out, or how do you decalcify that hippocampus? There's a couple ways. Number one, for about 2 weeks, only drink steam distilled water. You don't want to do it for more than 2 weeks because that leaches. Steam distilled water has no minerals in it. Therefore, it'll leach out of the body and will start the decalcification process. But only for 2 weeks. And ideally, don't drink anything else. Don't drink milk, don't drink juice, don't drink coffee or tea. Just drink distilled water. That would be ideal. For a lot of people, they need their coffee, they need their tea. Fine, make coffee with distilled water, make tea with distilled water. Drink as little juice. Don't drink any carbonated beverages at all when you're doing that. But for about 2 weeks. And then you can take some supplements. And there are several supplements on the market that decalcify or get the fluoride out and decalcify the hippocampus. Some of them are in a dropper, and you take this dropper of nutrients, and it helps to decalcify. There's several brands out there. I've looked at about 4 or 5, and I think they're all very, very good. The key ingredients, though, are spirulina and chlorella. Spirulina and chlorella pull and draw out and will, over a period of about 90 days, if you take it every day, decalcify that hippocampus. And how do we know? All you have to do is do a brain scan. You can see the hippocampus that's calcified, and then 90 days later, you can do another one. You can see that it's a lot less decalcified. Therefore, it's more active. If you just do that, you're going to increase your power to broadcast in the alpha, theta, billionaire brainwave. You're going to be able to put out on that frequency your vibrations of what you want, or your thoughts of what you want, or your desires. Each desire has a frequency, and you'll be broadcasting on the frequency that the universe is dialed into. Therefore, the universe picks it up. And therefore, you've activated the law of attraction so that by a magnetic pull, what you want starts getting created in the ether and then starts to physically manifest and is drawn into your life and reality. It sounds esoteric, I know, but it's not. It's actually science, because everything I say is backed up by numerous studies by very legitimate scientists and researchers, published research. It's not fantasy. It's real. Okay, forget the research, forget the science. Let's just look at reality. Just look at people that manifest things. There's your evidence. There's your substantiation and documentation that it really does work. And some people can argue, but at the end of the day, whatever you're doing ain't working. So who's the fool? Think about it. So number one, you want to decalcify that hippocampus. Then you want to get the hippocampus bigger. So how do you grow the hippocampus? How do you get it bigger? Now, there are some things that you can do that science, not me, but science has proven will begin to increase the size of your hippocampus. So if you have a hippocampus that is active, it's no longer calcified, so it's active, and you can get it bigger, then your broadcasting power gets stronger and more intense. You are then capable of thinking about what you want, picturing yourself in attainment of your desire, feeling now as if you were actually in attainment of it, with a burning desire, a need to have it, which is contracted energy, and that will go out into the physical universe with power and intensity on the correct brainwave and therefore be picked up by the universe. So the bigger and more active your hippocampus is means the more power you have access to broadcast your desires into the universe, thus make the law of attraction work, where up until now it probably hasn't worked for you. Look, The Secret is a great book. I recommend you read it. The movie The Secret is a great movie. I recommend you watch it. I know most of the people in there, and they're terrific. Think and Grow Rich. I recommend you read it. The Magic of Believing. I recommend you read it. Your Wish is Your Command. I recommend you read my book that's coming out and also listen to my audios that are out. It's spectacular. Ask and It Is Given. Spectacular. Karmic Management. The Diamond Cutter. The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. The Magic of Thinking Big. These are all great books, and I recommend you read them. But unless you are broadcasting your desire on that billionaire brainwave, it's not going to manifest. The evidence is how many tens of millions of people have read those books and then tried to use the techniques described in the book and then saw no results. It's estimated that over 95% of the people that read The Secret will swear, this doesn't work. I tried it and it didn't work. I didn't manifest anything. Make sense? So, how do you grow the hippocampus? How do you get it bigger? I'll give you a few simple techniques that you can do right now. And then I'm going to show you how to actually broadcast that on that.
Joe, I'm not sure what, it's not that I don't know what to make of this. I do know what to make of it, right? But, you know, when I think one of the ingredients to manifestation is action, right? You've got to take action. You know, you have that self-awareness, that self-belief, you know, that confidence that this thing is coming to you. But I think you have to take a step towards it as well through action. You have to step towards it. You don't get something for nothing. You know, but what he's saying here is that maybe I'm missing it. You know, he's saying that you just have to think about it on this brainwave. Bob says the same thing. You know, but he also says you've got to act, walk, talk like you're already there. Is that action? I don't know. You know, sometimes the more you learn about this stuff, the more questions you have about it. You know, the more you know, you realize you don't understand it. What you thought you knew, you don't know. You know, this is why I struggle. You know, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. What is the reality? Do you know what I mean? Where is my reality? You know, like it's not sitting in this room. Of course, that's the reality of the situation. I'm sitting in this room, but you know, the reality of my thinking, you know, and to change something, be able to build a new model. How do you build a new model, you know, when you can't even control the model that you've got or understand where that model is at? Yeah. Like it's confusing. You know, what are your thoughts so far?
Absolutely. Like it's you know, the more deeper we get into it, the more, you know, more wider, you know, the concept, and, you know, a lot of questions asked, you know, internally, externally. But it comes down to, like you said, I do believe that if we read the book and don't do anything to experience the challenge, the fail, you know, repeat, you know, adjust, I think we won't be able to fully understand if we don't apply and take action. And I think action is the thing that reveals to us what we don't know, what we should work on it, what we're lacking on it. And I'm with you 100%. A knowledge without action, it's not useful. You know?
Yeah. You know, so, like I get it. You know, like when you read these books and everything else, you know, they're great to have talking points, and you know, like I sit with people every week and you know talk about books that they've read and everything else. I think, well, yeah, why? You know, but why is nothing changing? You've got to apply it. You've got to do something with it. You know, you've got to do something with that new information. You know, you've got to take action on it. So, but look, you know, there's all this stuff that holds you back. You know, fear holds you back. You know, or false evidence appearing real as we understand it. Do you know what I mean? You know, those thoughts that you have in your mind. You know, oh, well, you know, if I do this, what are other people going to think? What's my wife going to think? Well, you know, all these things. Do you know what I mean?
True.
So you make it so, you know, then you start making excuses as to the reasons why you didn't do it. Like, and it's somebody else's fault, not yours. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, like being honest with yourself is maybe is the reality. You know,
Jim Ron used to,
responsibility. You know, take responsibility.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
Jim
like
Ron used to Jim Ron used to say that when you take full responsibility, that's a sign of maturity. It's a sign of adult that you know, we don't, we mess up the journey sometime, or most of the time, and we feel guilty of we're not doing action to get the result that we want, and we try to do something to justify of not doing the work that move us close to where we're supposed to be.
yeah,
And it's so true. We all guilty of not doing the action or the activities that allow us to get to where we want to get to, or the reality that we really want. And he used Michael Jordan a lot, and that's a good example. He was not big when he was in high school or something like that. No one think that he's gonna make it, but he take full responsibility that I'm gonna be a very elite basketball
yeah,
player, and I'm gonna be a high end but he missed a lot of shot to get there, and because he went out there and just shooting, and the one that we see that he put it in, he remind us that you should see the one that I miss. How many times I miss before I
yeah,
get it in.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a good concept, and it's a good reminding us because of the journey that we have. We all want to move forward and accomplish something in life, whether it's a small, medium, or big things. But it all comes down to how you respond to what you learn and what you want to achieve in reality.
yeah, yeah. You know, there's no doubt that I can think of, I can think of times, when I am most, certainly that beta brainwave where you're just getting stuff done. I write a list every day, and that list is predominantly made up of beta tasks, beta brainwave tasks, things that I have to do every day, you know. But then the funny thing is that when I'm driving around and I'm doing things and I'm listening to these things, and my mind wanders, and it wanders off into that, not theta, because obviously I'd be, I wouldn't be. And to be honest, do you know what that theta brainwave is? I'll tell you what it is now. To give you an example, it's when you're driving and you get to where you're going and you can't remember how you got there. That's when you're in that theta brainwave. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might be off thinking about something else, or thinking in your mind about something else. Or that time when you're thinking about something, or you're thinking about someone and the phone rings and it's them. Or you ring someone and they say, "Oh, I was just thinking about you."
Yeah.
That's when you're impacting on something, in a different arena or a different part of the world. So like there's no doubt that we have examples of times when we've experienced being in those spaces. How do you get in those spaces more often? To make those things happen, to manifest those things. Like I sometimes laughed at myself, because obviously I'm working on this new project, and we've got this wait list, and we're not really marketing it at all. And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 people have signed up to the wait list after I've been thinking about it. Do you know? I think, oh my God, how does that happen? Why is it? How are these people finding me? But it means that there's people looking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're looking for something. So, and then you get scared. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not prepared. I'm not fully prepared for what's
Correct.
to come. But that means that my vision is not, it's not clear. Do you know what I mean? I don't have clarity. So I have to work on that. I have to work on that. But that, I have to work on that in that theta brainwave, where I'm thinking about it in the morning. I'm thinking about it at night. Do you know what I mean? Before I go to bed, before I go to sleep, so that I'm putting those things into the subconscious mind, into the hippocampus, so that it's projecting, it's transmitting at that level all the time. But listen, look, let's watch a little bit more of this, and then we'll wind it up and we'll get your final thoughts, Joe.
Yep.
Let me see.
Brainwave. Number one, I'm going to tell you to do something that you probably don't do anymore, and very few people do compared to 50 years ago. Read. Yes, read. There's a reason why the government in America, and governments around the world are trying to get people illiterate again, unable to read and write. There's a reason, because they know that reading and writing actually stimulates the hippocampus. I reported this, and this is one of the first reasons why the government came after me and violently attacked me. And this was talked about just recently by the current administration. And this is why they're closing the Department of Education. It was talked about specifically by the leaders in Washington. They said exactly what I said 25 years ago, longer, 30 years ago. And that is the Department of Education took phonics out of the schools and they replaced it with the look-see method. It's called look and guess. They didn't teach phonics. So kids' reading abilities crashed. They can't read anymore because they didn't know phonics. They didn't know how to sound words out, and they stopped looking words up in the dictionary. So the amount of reading people do went down and down and down and down and down. Then they got all these kids on Ritalin and Adderall and all these psychiatric prescribed medications for attention deficit disorder, so they had no ability to focus. If you want to increase the size of your hippocampus, consider reading more. And what kind of books should you read? Well, there's 2 basic kinds of books. One, we'll call it a self-help book or a positive thinking book. A positive thinking book or a self-help book will inspire you. It'll motivate you. In those books, you have to think. You have to concentrate. You have to create images in your mind of what they're talking about and try to put things together and make conclusions, and you have cognitions. This process is going to stimulate the hippocampus and increase its size. The second kind of book that you want to read is either a novel or a biography or autobiography. These are fantastic. And if you're looking for success, then autobiographies or biographies by wealthy people, because now you get the best of both worlds. You're reading stories which cause the brain and the mind to create images. And the process of creating images in your mind stimulates the hippocampus and increases its size. It exercises it. When you read a novel, the same thing will happen. But when you're reading an autobiography or a biography, it's a story like a novel, but it's a true story, so you get to picture things better. Picturing things, which is using your imagination, creating images, is a mental exercise to stimulate the hippocampus. So read more. Next, breathing. Breathing should be done in and out through the nose only. The nose is for breathing. The mouth is for eating and drinking. You should not be breathing in and out through your mouth unless you're doing a specific pranayama or breathing exercise or technique for a specific reason. But forget that. All throughout the day and all night, you should be breathing in and out through your nose only, even when you're exercising. Now, I know it's hard when you're exercising really hard, you all of a sudden start panting. Okay, great. When we trained, we would like run stairs. We'd run like 2 or 3 flights of stairs, run. And we would do it all at the same time, breathing in and out through our nose only. And we would see who would be the first person to break down and have to stop breathing out of their mouth. And we would time it. And then we would do it the next day and the next day. And everyone started increasing their ability to breathe in and out through their nose and not breathe out of their mouth until we could do the whole series of 20 or 30 minutes of running stairs, breathing in and out through our nose only. It increases your lung capacity, it increases your oxygenation. It has tremendous health benefits, physiological health benefits, and also brain power benefits, but it stimulates the hippocampus. Okay, even if you don't exercise, just throughout the day, think about and focus on breathing in and out through your nose. That's number one. And when you breathe in, the stomach goes out a little bit. And when you breathe out, the stomach goes in a little bit. So you put your attention 2 inches below your belly button and practice to get into the habit of breathing this way. Grandmaster Tai, who was a close, dear friend of mine and my Kung Fu and Chi master before he became a grandmaster later in his life, we would train on how to move Chi energy. One of the trainings was breathing properly. And in the beginning, I, like most people, would breathe out of my mouth from time to time and not breathe in and out of my nose. And he pointed out, let's correct that. It'll make you stronger in every way, not just physically, but also mentally, and increase your ability to manifest. Then he pointed out that sometimes, Kevin, you're breathing in and your chest goes out, and you're breathing out and your chest goes in. So you're breathing shallow. If you breathe all the time from your diaphragm, which is 2 inches below your belly button, is where you want to put your attention. So when you breathe in, the chest doesn't expand, but the stomach goes out a little bit. And then when you breathe out, the stomach goes in a little bit. Now you're getting a full, complete breath. We came to visit you one time and we were sitting there. I was with Blaine Athorn, Grandmaster Ty, and myself. We were sitting for a couple hours. And after about a couple hours, he's Chinese and he spoke with a pretty heavy accent. Perfect English, but nice, beautiful, heavy accent. He says, "Oh, I watch your breathing for the last 2 hours. You breathe perfect now. Oh, very good, very good. It now habit. You now on autopilot." And that's where you want to be. Next, associate with winners. If you want to stimulate your hippocampus, associate with like-minded, positive, motivated, inspired people who are dreamers and big thinkers, who are go-getters.
Joe, the more I listen to this, right, and even when we were talking before, and I think we'll carry on with this next week if it's okay with you, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that I was thinking was, with the industry that we both love, network marketing, it really is designed, for this, for reading books, associating with like-minded people, like being around people who are thinking big, and that's why I would encourage anybody that if you wanted to change something in your life, you don't have to do it by yourself, and you can't do it by yourself. You need other people, but to find, think about something that you love doing, and go and find a network marketing business that does that. Do you know what I mean? And get around people they're excited about what you're excited about, and then go out and share that. Because, we talk about Jim Rome, that's what it's about, and you can start that part-time, Joey. It's like bananas. Do you know what I mean? But there's no doubt the reading is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I read and listen to more books since I part of network marketing and doing my business. And I think what is the most rewarding thing for me, apart from financially, it's the person I become. I get better. I associate better. The people that I, 6 years ago, before I joined network marketing, I associate with, they are good quality people that they, they inspire me, they empower me, they success more than I do. And they, there's no competition, just feeling like that, those people I look up to. If they can do it, I can do it, and the language I use, the language I spoke to my family, I talk to my kids. It's all because of the person I become. And I listened to the video you shared last week, and Jim Rohn talked about it. He talked about how his mentor Elsaf, taught him that in this professional, if you want to attract good people, you have to become good. If you want to attract, hardworking people, you have to hard work. For things to change, you have to change, and that's the big things in our professional. To earn, it compensates you accordingly to who you become.
Hold on, hold your horses, because I want to get your final thoughts, right? And it is all fascinating, Joey. It is, and this hippocampus, and I'm sure he's going to get into the pineal gland when we get back to it, and about this, raising your own awareness to this stuff, and that's part of it as well, Joe, is learning about it. Like, how can you change something when you don't know what to change, or when you don't know, you need to learn something new, you need to figure things out. And that's what we're doing. Do you know what I mean? But it is the growth. It's the person that you become. Right. Okay. So we're going to get Joe's final thoughts anyway, because that's the most important thing for me. I want to hear what Joe's got to say. And of course, we all know him as Joey, the $1 million difference maker, Makaunga. We love it. And of course, you can find Joey on Facebook, at facebook.com/Joey.Unga. Go and check him out, because he's just got, great content, and just one heck of a good guy, really, more than anything else. So you've got to go and check him out. But listen, want to get Joey's final thoughts, episode 129. the missing ingredient. Now it says theta, the gateway to intuition. There's no doubt about that theta, but also the alpha. Those two brainwaves seem to be really key. But when I think about this, Joe, I think about it a lot like personalities. How we have that dominant personality that's always there, that we tend to act the most. But then we're able to move through the other personalities, and mirror other people and different things like this. These brainwaves are very, very similar. How we seem to move through the different brainwaves for different situations. What he's saying is that most people are stuck in this beta brainwave, which is really just a duplication of a revolving wheel or a hamster wheel of thought, where we're doing the same things every day. Do you know what I mean? We're not able to get out of that. Whereas billionaires and millionaires, successful people, they're able to, yes, they're in that beta wave, but they're more frequently, they're able to get out of that hamster wheel and get into that alpha or even gamma and even theta brainwaves, where they're able to make things happen, manifest things to happen, start that process. And obviously the delta is when you're sleeping. Do you know what I mean? When your body's totally relaxing and you're recovering and restoring. So, but it's about shifting out of that beta into the other areas more often to be able to attract those things into your life. But even though that is an action, that's an action. Do you know what I mean? Can you deliberately do that? Stop yourself and say, hey, no, I'm going to think this. I'm going to think like this. I'm going to think these things. Do you know what I mean? Wrap it in emotion. Right. Listen, Joey, let's get your final thoughts. I want to hear what you've got to say.
Thanks, Mike. And thanks everyone that watching this or watching the replay. For us, it's a blessing that we have the opportunity while we're still around to share, our journey, and also share our experience, and also share, the people that we come in contact with, our mentor, our leaders, and also we share the books that we read, that help us, the program that we do, and also, we are so blessing with the social media, especially YouTube nowadays, or TikTok, or whatever platform that we kind of like selected to. Especially Mike did a wonderful job by selected those materials. And if you missed last week, I encourage you to go back and watch that, because that's one of the great one that we come across. It one of our mentor, a virtual mentor, Tim Ron, is no longer with us, but his legacy live on, because as a student and people like us, we carrying on that. And we want to pass it on and pay it forward to other people too. And tonight, wonderful 129 episode. We're so blessing to come along long way. And today we're talking about the missing ingredients. Theta, the gateway to intuition. And our brain is a very powerful tool, and there's a lot of brain waves. In a different forms that tonight we listen to this piece of content, and it's so memorized. It's so amazing because our brain, it's like an ingredient to bake a cake. If we really need something tasty and experience the wonderful piece of cake, or a dishes that we want to do, it all have some ingredients, and backed by science. That's the beauty of it, through research and study, and those study have been published for us to review and also add value to us. And this piece of content that we review tonight, it's amazing because we learn a lot. I learn a lot. I believe Mike learn a lot. And every time we do this podcast, not only that we share with you guys, but we learn new things. We learn how to improve our ability to become the best version of ourselves. And last week program, as Mike was sharing it, Jim Rohn talked about it. The person you become, it's going to be equal to the reward you will have in life, because to earn more in life, you have to become more. For things to change, you have to change something. And tonight we talk about a lot of things that around our brain or our mind, that whether you want to be in the Delta mode or Theta mode or Alpha mode, Beta mode, or you just want to be sleeping mode, with this, I think it's the Delta mode. So it's totally up to you because we every day we listen to something, we read something on books, and we saw something on news, and those information can be ingredients to produce the action that we perform toward what we really want in life. And nowadays there's a lot of distraction, but it's all come down, what do you really want to do in life? And I think we talk about it. Bob talked about the video that we always listen to. What do you really want in life? And when we don't have the clarity, the crystal clear of where we want to go in life, we're kind of drifting. We're drifting from one state to one state. We're drifting from one brainwave to another brainwave. And because we don't have clarity, because we wish, we hope, and we try to imagine what we want to become, but because we miss the ingredients of doing the things that make us move closer to our goals and our destination, that's why we have all the ingredients, but we don't want to apply it, and that's stop a lot of people. And I think I read, I listened to a piece of content this week multiple times. It is talking about in regards, if our professional or our network marketing business, it's so amazing, why I am so depressing. And I think that one we will talk about it. And he was talking about we can have a beautiful gift, but if we don't go out and work toward to accomplish that blessing, sometimes we can fall back into the comfortable phase or mode in life that we don't, and we end up quitting. And we end up quitting because I think one thing that I take away from that piece of way, that for all the successful people in the world, including the people in our professional, they don't have any specific talent, skill, or they don't born with another two brain, but those people, they just never give up. They just never give up in doing what they want to do in life, because in their mind they have the clarity. This is where I am, and this is where I want to go. And no matter what I do, they podcast, and this is amazing word that they podcast. And podcast, how can we podcast the ideas? By through the power of our words, because what we're telling ourselves every single day, if we tell we are a winner, we're going to be actually become a winner. If we tell that we are a loser, we actually going to be a loser. If we tell ourselves that we are not good enough, and we are not going to be good enough, because that's what we podcast every day. So what we learned from this podcast tonight, there's a lot of things. And we start to get into how we can improve part of our brain to improve the quality of our health or our result, or financially, physically, mentally. There's a lot. We start to listen to a few of them by reading different kind of books, reading self-help books, self-development books, or reading a novel or autobiography or biography, because those story inspire us and trigger something in us, because our brain is like it's having a switch. We can switch to gamma brainwave, we can switch to beta brainwave, we can switch to alpha brainwave, or theta wave, or delta one. So it's very important that we understand, when we, by through reading and study and learning, which switch, when we get to a situation or circumstances, which switch to switch on. So, tonight, it's a lot of great content that we can learn from it. And, even our breathing, that's a small thing. Mike, Eric Worre used to say to all the networker, one of the things that I learned, if I remember one thing from Eric Worre, he just say, sometimes everyone is chaos, everyone is panicking, nothing moving forward in their business, nothing, work, a lot of no's and, a lot of rejection. And people said, yeah, my friend is right, this business is over. Eric Worre come on stage and said, hey guys, just breathe. Just breathe. Because breathing can change the face, that can change the state of our being, and it's so true. When a lot of people, when they don't breathing, they have no idea that they lose the power. They lose the power to think properly when they're not breathing. And I experienced that. I think Mike can already experienced that. And it's when he talk about breathing, it's so important to me, because when I exercise, especially try to run or walk, I try to breathe through my mouth too. But there's a lot of things happen. There's a lot of things chemical and scientifically happen when the mouth is only for eating and talking, and nose is meant to be the one where we breathe, because scientifically that's the right way to do breathing, is in our nose and also out in our nose too. So anyway, I think next week is going to be great things. We're going to look deep in it, but I think tonight myself and Mike, we'll come to a conclusion that even though we learn so much in life, we read so much, we watch a lot of things in social media and news, but it's all come down to take action, because action, that's what makes things happen. And Mike remind us tonight, Bob said, you act, you talk, you walk, be the best you already want to achieve. And I think, tonight, Mike, thank you very much for the opportunity to come back. And, I truly miss when I was away. I feel like there's something missing in my holiday, and I knew straight away, because every week, this program has helped me set me up for the week that's going. When I come back from the holiday, you're still in the holiday mood. You still the body still chemistry still try to align back to the time zone that because we were 3 hour ahead, and a lot of not sleeping well because of a lot of connecting and catch up with a lot of story. I think this week, last week was a chaos week for me, and my mind and my even my activity, my revenue producing activity has been low for me. And I realized I just need something like this. I just need something like this to refocus, realign me back, and said, look, all right, the past is past. Yesterday was history. I think tomorrow will be a mystery, but today, today is the day that you can do something about it. So thank you very much for the opportunity to come on board, and also thank you for holding the fork and also keep showing up. And I think that's one of the main things for take action. You just keep showing up.
Thank you, Joey. I appreciate it. Like, to be honest, you reminded me of something there. When you were talking about breathing and all that kind of stuff, and it made me think about times, when I've been, I don't want to say desperate, like when you're trying to make a sale, or you're trying to close someone, or you're trying to bring someone on board, but you're sweaty. Do you know what I mean? You're sweaty, and they can sense that you're sweaty. They can sense it. Do you know what I mean? And it's only when you care, but not that much, you release whatever the outcome's going to be. It's not on you, it's on them. Do you know what I mean? It's their decision to make, not mine. I don't care whether you do it or not. It won't make a difference for me whether you do it, but it might make a difference for you. Do you know, it doesn't matter to me, what someone else does. It matters to them. Not me, them. Because they're not doing it to me, they're doing it to themselves. Do you know what I mean? So, and they're doing it for themselves. So breathing is important for sure. There used to be a breathing exercise that I used to give people to do, which was be 4 sharp breaths in through the nose, like that, and 4 out through the mouth. Boy, I used to do that every morning. And to be honest, wow, getting oxygen into the brain, because it really gets deep into the lungs, really expels any kind of stale air. But the way that it affects the brain, just breathing, if you do it in the right way, it's incredible. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, Joye, you're a superstar. Appreciate you taking the time to be here. Do you know what I mean? You've just come back from holiday, still on holiday mode. Like I'm a little bit tired this morning because I had a late night last night, Valentine's Day, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you did too. And of course, all the travel and everything else. And, you probably have to think about going back to work tomorrow. But listen, it's not about tomorrow. It's like it is about today, and today is a gift. That's why they call it present.
Yeah,
right?
It's a gift. Yeah, today's a gift.
And listen, take the time. Thank you, Joye. I appreciate you. And I'm going to play out with that video, because that video, I swear to God, I say it every week, it's got everything you need to know in it. It has, and the more that I learn about this stuff, and the more that I find out about this stuff, I can literally relate it all back to these key words and phrases in this video, and once, and my understanding is getting greater. And, once you have that clarity and you mix it with action, Joey's talking about ingredients, you can bake a beautiful cake. Do you know what I mean? And it's your cake, and you can have your cake and you can eat it, right? That's what it's about, right? You've been watching Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, episode 129. And of course, this is the missing ingredient, Right, let's go.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.